Chapter 41 Bet with you, still use 0. Little devil, what kind of eyes do you have? Believe it or not, I'll kill you. Tsunade clenched his fists and looked bad. Cough, Tsunade-sama, your eyes don't look like you want to learn to take precautions. Mute kindly came out to make a clearance. Anyway, she said this many times, and she didn't care about Tsunade's anger. Tsunade glanced at her, then looked at Jingyi, noticed that the eyes of the two were similar, and closed his fist and snorted. Gambling is a sacred business, and it is an insult to my personality. I believe it. Jingyi card was muted, and he said something along the way. Tsunade's face improved. She smiled and said, however, if I don't pay $1,000, I can observe others. If there is a person who doesn't have long eyes and $1,000 in front of me, can't I catch him and ask him to pay for my money? Quote. After listening to Mute, he looked at Tsunade in astonishment, and after thinking for a few seconds, he couldn't find any flaws. But, the next moment, Jingyi said contemptuously, are you thinking too much? It's just your luck, but anyone who knows your name won't give 1,000. Little devil, do you want to fight? Bang. With one punch, the mountain wall beside the road cracked. Tsunade looked bad. This is what it says. Don't need $1,000. You can make your own money with your eyes closed, right? This brat provoked his gambling skills over and over again, and he didn't take his Sonny name seriously. If you don't believe me, we can bet. The easiest way is to gamble and guess. Jingyi reached out and took the deck back. HMPH, kid, I'll let you know that my Tsunade's money isn't so easy to win. Just by the road, the two began to deal cards, and Mute was stunned. What is this unfolding? She stared at the card game and saw that Jingyi didn't open the cards at all, but tucked two cards on the ground. Tsunade saw a smile on his face. Don't you look. You must win, don't look at it, just open it later. Quote. Hateful, Tsunade twitched the corners of his mouth, wishing he could kill this kid with one punch. So annoying. Then, she motioned for Jingyi to open it. Kyoichi turned over the two cards, and Tsunade glanced at the cards in his hand. Then, she silently folded the cards in the deck. Come again, quote. Come again, quote. Damn, did your kid get out of 1,000? 3 innings. Jingyi didn't read the cards at all, but in the end he was always bigger than Tsunade, which made Tsunade angry. It's this kid who's out of 1,000. It must not be your own problem. Hee, do you need it? Besides, you're Sanin, can't you see if I have 1,000? Kyungsu smiled. This is the way the mildew gambles. She always suspects that others are out of 1,000. In fact, she is just bad luck. Impossible. Tsunade's eyes were uncertain. Jingyi got up and said, it's boring. Mute, you can play a few games with Tsunade-sama. Me, I won't. Mute's expression was sluggish. It doesn't matter. Playing with Tsunade-sama, you don't need to know. Quote. Tsunade tilted his head, his beautiful face full of murderous intent. Silent shame. She really started to play. After a while. Stop playing. It's boring. Tsunade threw the cards away. All 5 innings. The key is, the other party doesn't know how to play at all. After drawing the cards, she has to let her see the size of the cards. The result is that they lose every time. It's really annoying. Look, I'm not mistaken. Tsunade-sama, as I said, you can arrest people if you want to, but don't bet on it yourself, or who else needs to bet with you? Quote. Makes sense. After losing money by yourself, isn't it enough to watch and catch thousands of dollars? At that time, the casino will have to thank itself without saying anything wrong. Certainly, it would be even better if the casino secretly made thousands, and he could directly extort the casino. Tsunade is very religious about gambling and disdains to do that kind of sneaky things, but these are not gambling, but a means to make money and pay off debts. Wonderful, she was overjoyed, completely forgetting the meaning of Jing's words. Bad luck, isn't this common sense? Tsunade also knew that her gambling luck was very strange. If she really won, she would have to worry about it. In addition to satisfying your own preferences, another reason for gambling outside is to know whether the people you care about are safe or not through gambling. So far, after leaving the village, I haven't won a single time. By the way, is there any other way to make money and avoid debts? Tsunade's eyes lit up. This kid doesn't seem to be interested in these sidelines, but he still knows a lot. Jingyi was silent for a moment, then said, have you considered having a pet? Pets, why keep that? We can't get enough to eat ourselves. Mute said pitifully, really can't get enough. It's hard to earn some back, but Tsunade will gamble it away in a few days. Now the money they need for their daily needs is all earned by Mute himself using medical ninjutsu. Idiot, pets are also property. If someone comes to ask for money, I will give him the pet. Won't I be able to pay off the debt? Let it run back. Yes, it's perfect. But this pet needs to be trained, preferably chakra. Tsunade's mind was very lively, and he quickly thought of a whole set of solutions. Sanin are all smart people. Jing nodded, feeling a little weird at the same time. This development, didn't you persuade her not to gamble? Never mind, not persuaded. After all, Tsunade gambling is not purely for gambling. He sighed. At this moment, the system prompt sounded. Jing was stunned for a moment. He summoned the system. In the task record, there is one item that has not been read. This is the quest reward for Shisui and the others after completing the actual combat. Open black lens bracket complete the teaching of actual combat, and will of fire, close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket evaluation, excellent close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket reward, illusion darkness close black lens bracket. However, the next one left him speechless for a while. Open black lens bracket complete the lectures of thousands, and debt repayment, close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket evaluation, good close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket reward, run around close black lens bracket. Does this work too? This trick is very practical. Okay, although the subjects taught are a little weird. He glanced at Tsunade and felt a burst of emotion in his heart. Tsunade stood on the edge of the railing, looked into the distance, sighed suddenly, and said, boy, if you have a hard time in the village in the future, come out and find me, don't die. Don't worry, I understand. Kyungsu waved his hand. He naturally knew what Tsunade meant. Konoha seems to be friendly, and the Chinsho clan is a great hero of Konoha, but it is not the case, not to mention Sarutobi Hyjin, the secret Danzo seems to be suppressing and guarding the Chinsho clan a lot. Tsunade understood, but didn't say anything. Now that Jingyi has awakened the physique of Chinsho, he has become Shengen again. Once the war is made in the future and the prestige is improved, it may not be possible to compete for the 4th generation. But, will Sarutobi Hyjin and Danzo agree? Tsunade thinks. Not too possible. The old man didn't take Jingyi really as one of his own, otherwise he wouldn't have taken great pains to let him meet Jingyi. She patted Jingyi on the shoulder and said, you are also my younger brother. I will cover you. As long as you are not rebellious, no one dares to say nothing when you leave the village. If one day, it will. Chapter 42 One tree is hard to make a forest. Mute. These words, you can't talk nonsense in the future. Tsunade is unusually serious. Nod silently. Although Tsunade didn't admit it, she was regarded as Tsunade's apprentice. These words were not good for Tsunade and Kakashi, so she naturally didn't dare to say nonsense. Little devil, I'm leaving. Tell the old man not to look for me. I'm not going to go back anyway. Leave without a meal. Kyungsu was a little reluctant. Tsunade was very rude to him, but it was this rudeness that made him feel like he had met his relatives. Only when he met his relatives could he be so heartfelt. Hey, do you think I really have no money to eat? Tsunade waved his hands in a free and easy manner. Indifferent, the huge word, gambling, on the back of the green clothes was very eye-catching. Kyungsu didn't hold back. The current Konoha is precarious. Tsunade Heim, a hyperphobic, maybe a good thing to leave. Jingyi lowered his head and stared at the key in his hand. After a while, he gripped the key tightly, put it in the ninja bag, turned around and headed for Shisui and the others. On the hills of Baiyun Town, Tsunade stood at a high place, looking at Jingyi's back. Her eyes were full of complicated emotions, and she didn't sigh until Jingyi disappeared behind the wall. If the rope tree is still alive, it may have become a Junin. Does he resemble a rope tree? Mute is curious. It's not like, he is more similar to the second-generation adults, like the rope tree. Tsunade shook his head, but she would unconsciously think of Shungshu. After all, Shungshu was only a few years older than Jing, and there was not much difference in age. However, I'm just emotional. Master Tsunade, you said before that Konoha's situation is more dangerous now. It is very likely that other shinobi villages will also attack and test. If war really breaks out again, will you go back? Silent asked. The war with Sandian village is over. But according to Tsunade, this is just the beginning. Since the death of Shinsho Tobarama, the big and small battles between Konoha and other shinobi villages have not stopped. Although the Sannin War in Hanzo subsided for 2 or 3 years, frictions soon occurred. Tsunade has traveled to many countries in the past few years, and he is very clear about the attitude of the big countries around the country of fire towards Konoha. They all long for Konoha's defeat. Peace will not last long. What can I do when I go back? Let's talk about it later. Tsunade shook his head. The third generation asked Jingyi to come to him, apparently hoping to use Jingyi to resolve her emotions and let her return to Konoha. But she has hyperphobia. Few people know about this. Even if she returns to Konoha, what will happen? Tsunade turned and left. Jingyi turned his head and glanced this way. Tsunade is really gone. Although it is a pity, her state is obviously not suitable for asking too many things, and it is even more nonsense to solve the problem of hyperphobia. It has only been a few years since the rope tree and Kato died. Tsunade himself is a medical master, and the mental illness is so easy to cure that it will not last for so many years. Some things not only need time to wash, but also an accident and chance. Asuma, otherwise you should rest first. No need. Asuma condensed chakra and continued to cut stone bricks with the change of wind escape. Shisui also condensed the wind and escape chakra, and tried to split the stone brick with the change of the nature of chakra and the samurai sword. This is the practice of shadow avatars. As for the red sunset, she is carrying stone bricks. Those workers wouldn't have let the ninjas do this, but the shadow clone said that it was a task in practice, and they couldn't resist it, so they had to let them do it. But, because of this, the work is much faster. The task that originally took several days to complete was basically completed in one afternoon. In the evening, at the strong invitation of the mayor, the 4 of Jingyi attended the party organized by the town. The food is plentiful and the villagers are very enthusiastic. Teacher, I have always felt that the villagers are difficult to get along with, and they are incompatible with our Uchiha. Now it seems that it is not the villagers who are incompatible, but our Uchiha. The water stops feeling. This line made him understand a lot of things. The villagers are not difficult to get along with. As long as you don't think you are superior to others and get along with you with an equal attitude and behavior, they will naturally reciprocate with their own enthusiasm. Not so with Uchiha, the guards, the high walls of the clan, and the name of the number. One Konoha clan made them naturally isolated from the outside world, and they never had the idea of contacting and communicating with the outside world. So, still want to get the position of Hokage. How can it be so simple? It's good if you understand. A single tree can't make a forest. If you don't integrate into it and help the forest expand, the first one who logs in will cut down the outside tree. Teacher's words, I seem to have seen something similar. Shisui was stunned for a moment. Different words but similar meaning. You are a descendant of Senior Jing, and you should have read similar books in his books, but it is better to have no books if you believe in them. You should read books with your own thinking and dialectical reading. Yes, Shisui nodded. Kyungsu didn't speak any further. Shisui was only 5 years old, and he talked too much in one breath. He might not be able to understand it, just let him digest it slowly. He is currently the only fat sheep who considers himself a mentor in life, and he needs to be nurtured well. Asuma had a great time communicating with the townspeople. But, the content of the words is more bold. Uncle, which do you think is more important, Daimyo or Hokage? I don't know, who can keep us safe and feed us, who is more important? Is that right? Quote. The kid is still stubborn about his, Jade, problem. The previous answer from Jingyi made him understand the nature of, Jade, but Asuma didn't know who his, Jade General, was. Hokage, no, he came from a Naruto family, but he actually didn't have that much reverence for Naruto. Before meeting Jingyi, he even thought that the big name was the, Jade General. Now the thinking has changed somewhat, but what it is, he is still exploring himself. Kyungsu didn't interrupt. What he thinks of is far more profound than what others have taught him. After 2 or 3 days, with the help of Jing's team, Baiyun Town gradually repaired and completed, and the sea level task was completed. After that, they went to the surrounding area of the town. With the cooperation of the mayor, they restored the financial points plundered by the bandits to their families before embarking on a journey back to the village. No matter Asuma, Shisui, or Kane Yuhi, who didn't have too many troubles, all felt heavy at this time. Come to the village. Asuma asked, Teacher, can we take the sea level mission next time? Addicted to doing tasks? No, I just feel that going out of the village to do tasks, while cultivating, I can learn a lot of things, which is much better than staying in Konoha to cultivate. Asuma explained. Kurenai Yuhi and Shisui nodded. You are the son of the 3rd generation. You are making a lot of noise at home. Maybe we can get a B-level mission next time. What? There was laughter in the forest. Only Asuma was stunned on the spot, and it took a long time to realize that the teacher was joking with him, and he was suddenly speechless. But Class B, EMMM, at this level of tasks, you will come into contact with various ninjas. A little excited. Chapter 43 Sign, Wetbone Forest Covenant. Back at Konoha, Kyoichi thought about it, took the key, and went to Tsunade's house. Tsunade's house is easy to recognize. This is the house of Hokage of the 1st generation. It is not large in scale, but the location is very good. It looks very simple and full of the sense of age. Kyungsu came to the door. Take out the key, open the door and enter. The result. Who are you? Why do you have the key here? What? Jing Yi turned his head and saw a man with white hair and a forehead guard with the word, oil, and immediately knew the identity of the other party. One of the three ninjas, Jiraiya, coincidentally. After giving the salute, Jinchiki said, Lord Jiraiya, my name is Kanda Jing Yi, this key. Of course, it was given by Lord Tsunade. Tsunade gave it. Zilai was also stunned. Although he came here to take a look at the first time after he came back, he actually knew that Tsunade didn't return to the village. Since he didn't come back, where did this kid get the key? Yes, I went to Baiyun Town to do a mission, and I just happened to meet it. Jing nodded. Baiyun Town. Jiraiya also sighed. He went straight back to the village from Cheyenne Village, but he missed Tsunade without passing there. Well, it's useless to see. But, who is this kid? Kanda Keiichi. He didn't remember that there was such a person among the people Tsunade knew. Simply put, I'm Tsunade-sama's cousin. Just a little further away. Jing Yi thought, Biao, cousin, so that's the case, ha 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 ha, then, I'll talk later when I have time, I still have something to do. Jiraiya also stuck in an instant. After a few embarrassed laughs, there was a blunt change of the topic, and he just walked away. Nima, I thought this kid was a thief, engaged for a long time as the younger brother of Tsunade. Almost embarrassed, Jiraiya also thought of this, and couldn't help but secretly rejoice. Luckily Tsunade hadn't come back, otherwise he would have squatted outside her house when he saw him coming back from outside, and probably would have killed himself. As for the authenticity of cousin, there is no doubt about this. Jing Yi wears Konoha's forehead guard. In Konoha, no one dares to climb relatives like this, and the Chinsho clan has intermarried with various families, and now the blood is all over the village. A cousin or two is nothing. ... Jilai didn't go to the hot springs, come here, it's weird. Hyunsu didn't know what to say, never mind. Go in and see what Tsunade meant by giving him the key. He went in and closed the door. The yard is quite large. But, compared with the identity of Shinshujuma, the house he left is already small, basically the size of the head of a small family. Just looking at the courtyard, it is impossible to think that this is the first generation home. The first and second generations can be said to have truly implemented their own ideas. Jing Yi was in awe. The door of the house was covered with dust, and no one had come here for many years. He entered the house and walked around. Many things inside were covered with cloth to avoid being covered with dust. The room is big, but the pattern is very clear. After turning around, he basically knows where it is and what it is for. The most important place, of course, is the study. The study has a separate key, and Tsunade also gave it to Jinchiki. There are many books in it. Part of it is a collection of books, but more of it is some notes of the second generation. It is very messy and many are not organized. It is just a little bit of content that the second generation thinks of in a flash. In addition to the first time, there is also Tsunade's medical notes on a bookshelf. There are many medical books on it. To many medical ninjas, these are nothing less than peerless treasures. Huh, what is this? Jing Yi saw a cylinder wrapped in cloth at the top of the bookshelf representing the first generation. He took it down and untied the cloth pocket. When he saw what was inside, he was stunned for a moment. Real. To be precise, it is the scroll of the psychic contract of Shizuku Forest. Ghost. Tsunade's palm is too big, can you just throw this kind of scroll? Not afraid of being taken away. He was stunned for a long time, and then thought about it carefully, and felt that he was really not afraid. Shibone Forest is one of the three holy places. Unlike Miyamu Mountain and Longdi Cave, there are no small slugs in the Shibone Forest. There is only one living slug fairy in the entire Shikbon Forest, and what Tsunade and Haruno Sakura summon are actually part of the living scorpion fairy. Whoever steals the scroll without permission. The consequences can be imagined. Tsunade gave himself the key and asked himself to come to the study. Was he asking himself to find this? He hesitated. This thing can't be messed with. Jing Yi was hesitating, and the symbol on the scroll suddenly lit up. After a while, a small slug climbed out of it. It climbed onto Jing Yi's hand and conveyed a message. You should have found the scroll when you saw it. Now I will ask the living scorpion fairy to convey the message. This is the Shibone Forest psychic scroll of the Thousand Hands clan contract. If you are interested, you can sign it. If you are not interested, forget it. Tsunade's voice was casual. It seems that this is not a psychic scroll, but something unimportant. As for the live gnat appearing here, with the covenant scroll symbol, it's not that hard to come up with. Hyunsu thought for a while. There are not many psychic beasts in the whole ninja world that are comparable to living scorpions. Opportunities lie ahead. Signed. He didn't hesitate any longer, bit his finger and started to sign. But for a moment, Jing Yi felt that some connection had been established between himself and the living cockroach. My name is Live Bug. It said softly. Lord Live, hello. Although the other party was very gentle and not big, Jing Yi did not change his respect, because he knew that the other party's body was probably bigger than Konoha. This is a fairy who has lived from ancient times to the present. You're welcome. You have the power of a thousand-handed clan on your body. When you become stronger, you can come to the Shibone Forest to have a look. If you need to, you can summon me with a psychic technique. Yes, Hyunsu bowed his head. The next moment, the living cockroach left. He thought for a few seconds. The meaning of the living gnat's words. Could it be that, after my physique is stronger, will I have the opportunity to learn the fairy mode of Shibone Forest? If so, then earn big. Jing Yi installed the scroll as it was, put it back in its original place, and then looked at other books, mainly some books and notes of the second generation. Unconsciously, the light was dim. Looking out, it was already dusk. There are so many books that I can't read them at all. I'll send a shadow clone to read books tomorrow. Jing thought to himself, but, achieve a lot. After reading a few notebooks about illusion, plus the knowledge of light illusion obtained from the system-rewarded dark line technique, Kyoichi already knew how to combine illusion with eyes on. Sword light. Use chakra to magnify the sword light at the moment of cutting out, so that the opponent can be blinded by strong light, and you can use this moment to cut the enemy. There is an idea. As for Konoha Ryu, Willow. It is an action-guided illusion, which can also be guided by the action of a sword, but that is another way of thinking. Can go hand in hand. Anyway, the theory is there, and the two experiments are not complicated. Actually, Jing Yi has already mastered it initially, and what is lacking is only the actual effect, which requires people to spar with. Chapter 44 Konoha Ninja, roll up. The next day, outside Yuhi's house. Mr. Jing Yi, why are you here? Kurenai Yuhi was surprised. It was unbelievable that Jing Yi actually came to the door to look for her. She looked at Jing Yi's outfit. Could it be that? Are you inviting yourself to exercise early? As senior true red there. Yes, my father, the teacher is looking for you. Red Yuhi's movements paused for a moment, looking for a father. She didn't know the situation, but without hesitation, she turned around and shouted. Yuhi Junhong did not perform a mission. He was a little surprised when he heard Jing Yi's arrival, but he quickly appeared in the courtyard. Teacher Jing Yi, please come in. Senior Junhong, this visit is actually to ask you about illusion techniques. Oh, Teacher Jing Yi also studies illusions. Yuhi Junhong was a little surprised. Except for the Uchiha family, Konoha did not study many illusions, and more people's attitude towards illusions is that they can crack and know a few illusions. There are not many who are willing to conduct in-depth research and ask for advice. Some thoughts lately. The teacher said that his illusions are not good, but his illusions are very powerful. There is a swordsmanship that can make people hallucinate. Seeing Kyoichi's modesty, Uchiha hurriedly spoke for him by the side. Fantasy swordsmanship. Uchiha was really surprised. Back then, the second generation also studied the magic swordsmanship, but in the end, it seemed to be dead. It is not clear to outsiders whether it has been researched. Could it be that Jingyi's magic swordsmanship was created on the basis of the second generation? After being surprised, he looked serious and said, I have some books on illusion here. No need, Senior Junhong misunderstood. I just want you to help me test the effect of illusion, and then comment again. You are a master of illusion of Konoha, so I think of you first. Jingyi knew that Junhong had misunderstood. The other party estimated that he came to ask for books, but with the fusion of fantasy swordsmanship, he had preliminary plans and theoretical support, and he did not need to read books. Now just adjust according to the effect. Sorry, let's get started then. Yes, Jing glanced at the line of sight, then suddenly adjusted the blade and drew it out of its sheath. In an instant, the light flashed. Yuhi Junhong couldn't help blocking the light, but after a moment of strong light, he couldn't see clearly for a while. The sound of the knife returning to its sheath sounded. He moved his hand away, stunned for 2 seconds, and then came to understand. You are using a knife to reflect light, and using chakra to amplify the light into strong light, to create an illusion. No, this is not an illusion. There is a way to quickly dispel the illusion, but this kind of strong light, unless you avoid looking directly at that moment, it is impossible to remove it. Because it doesn't belong to illusion. Yes, my eye slash is fast enough, as long as the strong light blinds me for an instant, but if the speed is not fast enough, can I add the effect of illusion? It can be incorporated into the illusion according to the situation, such as, if I wear glasses, or look at you from the corner of the eye, the strong light effect will be weakened. Afterwards, Yuhi Mahong gave a lot of advice. He is indeed a master of illusion, and every suggestion is very useful. Then, Jingyi demonstrated a simplified version of Lu. The knife danced with a scabbard, and after turning half a circle, from the left side to the right side of the body, the knife was drawn out of the scabbard. The same guided illusion. It's better to simplify the action. Illusion guidance doesn't have to pass through the blade, you can also use gestures, and you don't even have to force it into swordsmanship. Sometimes it's better to use illusion first and then use the sword. Yuhi Mahong doesn't know swordsmanship, but he knows how to use illusion to kill enemies, and the advice he gives is very useful. After Jingyi heard it, it was of great benefit. Hong Yuhi was fascinated by listening to it. Jingyi's illusion was different from what she had learned since childhood. It's not a type at all, which makes her feel very novel. Fantasy can do this. By the way, today just happened to be here. Hong, I want to confirm again. Are you sure you want to learn medical ninjutsu? Yes, I have discussed with my father, and my father also supports my decision. Kurenai Yuhi didn't hesitate. Learning medical ninjutsu requires a lot of energy, but if you can learn it, it will definitely help the team a lot. The opportunity is right in front of her, and she doesn't want to miss it. Okay, I have a few books here. You can read them. If you don't understand, you can ask me back. Jing gave her a few basic medical books. The content here is all in the medical ninjutsu basics that the system rewarded before. He has fully mastered it, and it is not a big problem to teach Hong Yuhi. Hong Yuhi took it, glanced at the author, and was immediately surprised. This is Tsunade's medical book. Thank you, teacher. This is. Yuhi Junhong was even more surprised. This is Tsunade's original book, with many excerpts on it. He is very clear. The Kanda family and Tsunade had no intersection before, so Jingyi had recently contacted Tsunade, otherwise where would Tsunade's medical book come from? Incredible. The sunset is really red and dark. Although it was not taught by Tsunade personally, these books and notebooks are invaluable medical treasures, and ordinary people have no chance to obtain them. My daughter was assigned to Kanda Kyoichi, so lucky. Kyoichi bids farewell to the father and daughter and leaves Yuhi's house. Still have to exercise. Although he has a physique of 1,000 hands, he is not an immortal body after all, and physical training needs to be persistent. After running around, Jingyi was very emotional. Under his leadership, the struggle in Konoha has increased significantly. In the past morning, at most, I saw a few such as Maddie and his son, Kakashi. But now, Asuma, Shisui, even Shiranui Genma, Ebisu, etc. all came out to run. All of them were out of breath but refused to stop to rest. It was really a competition. Especially Jing went out of date all the way, and ran with all his strength. And, not 1 or 2 days, basically, Jingyi can see them every day. It's rolled up. Your own credit is too great. Without him, how could the prosperous ninja introverted? Kyungsu was very emotional. When the mission came back, they couldn't receive a new mission for a few days. There are too many teams doing missions recently. In the past few days, Hong Yuhi has been studying medical books, and Jingyi gave him a guide once, and earned a wave of experience points in the Palm Immortal technique. Now he can not only use the Palm Immortal technique to heal, but also to fight the enemy. As for Asuma, Shisui, the two of them are still practicing the vacuum blade and wind escape. These two are fat sheep. With a few pointers, I easily reach the vacuum wave. This is B-level ninjutsu. As for the fire escape, Jingyi couldn't help. Passing by a tavern, Jingyi saw Orochimaru and Jiraiya sitting together, just as if he hadn't seen the past. Jiraiya also opened the curtain inside. Hey, Kanda's boy, let's have a drink together. Jiraiya also held a wine glass. Jingyi was helpless, walked over and said, sorry, Lord Jiraiya, Lord Orochimaru, I don't drink. Do not drink. It's okay. Just eat something if you don't drink. Today was originally a Sannin party, but it's a pity that Tsunade isn't here. You just happen to be here, so you should replace Tsunade. Orochimaru smiled. At this point, Jingyi couldn't refuse, so he had to sit down. Chapter 45 Bring me to the hot spring. Several meanings. Ha ha ha, it makes sense. Speaking of which, the first time I saw this kid, I thought it was a thief, but I didn't expect it to be Tsunade's cousin. Zilai also drank another drink, and then let out a long sigh. Orochimaru took a drink in silence. The war is over. But, the trauma and pain will not disappear. Tsunade's experience is a tragedy under the war. Hey, why are you silent? You're scary if you don't talk. Don't scare our cousin. Come, have a drink. Also very enthusiastic. He is a self-acquaintance, but when he said this, he hoped that Orochimaru would not think too much. Orochimaru smiled, raised his glass to Jingyi and said, Jingyi-kun, we meet again. Have you met him? Zilai was also surprised. In my Shangan exam, the examiner was Lord Orochimaru. Jing just said something simple. Zilai was also stunned for a moment, and then instantly understood the general situation. Orochimaru was the chief examiner, and the exam questions were definitely not easy. He smiled and didn't ask in detail, and then the three of them started chatting. More to ask about Tsunade's current situation. Everything is fine, Tsunade-sama. The only problem is that he is short of money. He is being chased by debt collectors all day long for money. Ha 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 ha. Jiraiya also laughed. Truly Tsunade. There is nothing but money. Because no amount of money is enough to lose the big fat sheep Tsunade, and they will be exported in the end. Did you lend her money? No, I never lend money to gamblers. It's right, if you have the money, it's better to send me to do ninjutsu research. After all, I can teach you when I get results. The corner of Orochimaru's mouth slightly raised. Speaking of Tsunade, the gap in distance between the three seemed to be shorter. Hyunsu can be sure, at least at this moment, Orochimaru didn't care about Shinshu's physique and cells between columns, he was just an ordinary person who cared about his teammates. By the way, I heard the old man say that you are doing research on a technique. If you have any difficulties and you need help, just say it. Anyway, we are still in the village recently, and we may go out again after a while. His tone was bright, and at the same time full of helplessness. The current Konoha, it is not an exaggeration to describe it with precariousness. Years of war, the 4 major villages want to bite a piece of meat from Konoha. The surgery has been a little confusing recently. At present, I have some problems with skin breathing, but it's okay, and it should be resolved soon. In fact, Kyoichi has mastered skin breathing. It's just that the current skin breathing, at most, plays a role of assisting in reducing the pressure on the lungs, and it is far from the point where it has qualitatively transformed into the 4th activity. Skin breathing. Jiraiya and Orochimaru were both stunned. Orochimaru was thinking, what spell requires this ability? And also, he thought about it and said, if this is the case, I'm not sure I can really help you a little bit later. It's not in a hurry. Lord Jiraiya just mentioned that he is going out again, isn't it? Kyoichi lowered his voice halfway through. Zillai also nodded lightly and said, 3 generations of Reikage have been dead for many years. Union Village and Yanyan Village have both recovered a lot of strength. We have to go to the north to see. It's also possible in Wuyin Village. Their strength has also recovered a lot, and in recent years, a group has become very famous. Maybe they may attack us. Keiichi said. He remembered that Wuyin Village and Yanyan Village started at about the same time. Like Yanyan Village, there were traces of the outbreak of war. Zillai also pondered with Orochimaru for a moment, and then nodded lightly. It is indeed possible. Wuyin Village has not done it for many years, and the name of the 7 ninja swordsmen has become more and more famous in recent years. Hyunsu didn't say more. That's all. With 3 little cubs under him, it is impossible to go to the north or east for inspection. The future situation and these things should be studied by the people above. Konoha High-Rise is not all wine bags and rice bags. Come on, have a drink, boy, you drink this cup in place of Tsunade, and you must not refuse. It's not necessary. Jingyi waved his hand, and then he bit his finger and used blood to perform a psychic technique. The little slug crawled out. Lord Live, Zillai was also quite surprised. Orochimaru glanced at Jingyi with a deep meaning. Wetbone Forest Covenant, this kid really has 1,000 hands. It seems that Danzo has to go there again, or else I will annoy the Tsunade Heim. God knows what will happen. He took a sip, hiding his expression. Lord Live, please pass this bottle of wine to Lord Tsunade, that is, it is a guest invited by Jiraiya and Orochimaru Sanin. It is good. The live gnat rolled up the bottle, controlled the mucus in its body so that it would not corrode it, and disappeared on the desk. Zillai was also very emotional. The Shibone Forest contract was signed, and the identity of Shinsho representing Jingyi was recognized, which was incomparable with the previous one. Did he go to get the psychic scroll that day? Jiraiya understood clearly, and then he became speechless to Tsunade, throwing the contract scroll directly at home. The heart is too big. Drink. I'll talk to you about skin breathing after drinking. Raise a glass too. After a few glasses of wine, the food on the table was gradually swept away. Orochimaru left first. He is very busy. Jiraiya was also used to it, and followed Jingyi out of the tavern to wander freely, while talking about some tips for skin breathing. The Meow-Mushin toad has this kind of ability. In the process of cultivating the immortal mode, he has experienced the feeling of assimilating with toads, and he knows very well what is going on with skin breathing. Therefore, Jingyi is asking the right person. But the only problem is, Lord Jiraiya, I'm very grateful that you taught me this, but what's the matter with bringing me to the hot spring? Hot air swirls around the wall. A woman's frolic. Jingyi felt that there was a big danger written on top of his head. You are a teacher. This is discovered. I am afraid that I can say goodbye to Konoha village directly. Cough cough. Don't get me wrong. I went the wrong way. Walk around and get around here, lest the people inside misunderstand. Zillai also blushed. After drinking, I followed the sound unconsciously and came here. Hyunsu was speechless. Do you still need people to misunderstand? As long as it is a Konoha person who does not know your glorious history of Jiraiya. He doesn't break it either. By the way, I still don't know what technique you are researching. Is it convenient to say? Cell viability technique. Nothing to hide. Jingyi said directly, condensing chakra in his hands, and then he started to seal. The printing speed is significantly faster than normal. This is what I'm thinking of right now about the use of skin restoration combined with activation. Local stimulation of cellular activity. Also thoughtful. This technique is very good. It can be improved according to needs, and the load on the body will not be so great, but the corresponding requirements are also extremely high, and ordinary people cannot learn it at all. You should have a higher level application, right? Yes, I named it the 7-day exhalation. The first 3 layers of activity only require lung breathing, but the 4th activity, I envision it to enhance skin breathing. It is indeed feasible, this activation technique. If you want to learn, it's fine to teach you, but this is a forbidden technique, and it's best not to use it frequently. Hyunsu didn't hesitate. The first 3 activities are not precious things, and there is no need to be stingy. Besides, the gains from teaching Jiraiya may be worth its value. Cough. So, you teach me the activation technique, and I teach you my hair secret technique. Jingyi is Tsunade's junior, and Jiraiya is too embarrassed to prostitute for free. Chapter 46. This boy, cut the black one. All right. Hyunsu didn't refuse. Swapping occult techniques is a practice among many ninjas. Certainly, generally, family secret techniques are not passed on, and more of these are self-created secret techniques, such as Jiraiya's hair secret technique. Needle Jizo is very practical. There is no reason to refuse. He explained the 7-day breathing principle and the method, and then elaborated on the local effects brought by some of the skin breathing that he was currently developing. Legs increase, speed up. Both hands increase the seal. Even later, he wanted to achieve a one-handed seal, so that ninjutsu and swordsmanship could be performed at the same time. It was also fascinated to hear. After all, he is a Sanin, and he has a deep accumulation of knowledge. In addition, he has the foundation of skin breathing, and quickly learned to increase the local area. In fact, this is the most coveted effect of Jiraiya. Compared with the genuine 7-day call, he prefers the activation technique of local stimulation. After some testing, Zillai also said, this technique is too useful. Although the learning difficulty is S level, I think it can be promoted as a learnable level forbidden technique. Really, I still want to reduce the difficulty of learning a little more. It's hard. Jiraiya also knew what Jingyi's intention was. If you can press this technique to A-level difficulty, then many Shangnin and elite Chunin will have the opportunity to master it, and the survival rate on the battlefield will be greatly improved. But cell stimulation is itself a fine activity. Without enough chakra control, it is impossible to master it, and the skin breathing that Jingyi is studying now is even more difficult, and it is impossible to reach a level no matter how low it is. Hyunsu could only sigh regretfully. Now let me teach you. My technique is called Needle Jizo. With not seal and chakra extraction skills, ninjutsu is not difficult to learn. Hyunsu quickly grasped it, but he was very curious. What kind of psychology created this technique in the first place? Afraid of being beaten when peeping. Can't figure it out. After the exchange of secret techniques, Zilai also said goodbye to Jingyi, and then left with a smile. Guaranteed to be lost again. Hyunsu shook his head. Sanin is really, everyone has a hobby. He glanced at the system panel. Open black lens bracket complete the secret art, communication close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket evaluation, average close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket reward, seal of fire seal close black lens bracket. Generally, Jingyi was surprised at first, and then he understood the reason. Jirai didn't need him to teach him at all. In fact, after explaining the principle, Jirai was already able to use the activation technique, but he was just too embarrassed to directly prostitute. Therefore, the system is characterized as communication, rather than teaching, and the evaluation is not high. But, the seal of fire can seal even Amaterasu, and it is very practical in itself. If the fourth breakage can seal the seal of fire, do you need to cut off the arm directly? It can be seen that bypassing by analogy is still useful. I also got a needle in the earth, and the seal of the fire seal is equivalent to whoring for nothing, not to mention that the seal technique is very precious, and it is extremely difficult to learn, and it is absolutely not a loss to learn one. Thinking about it like this, an instant thought came to mind. As for the self, the righteous self cannot tolerate such a thing from happening. Out of the woods, he met the female teacher in the ninja school, and he casually mentioned to the other party that there was someone sneaking around. Soon, a scream rang out, followed by a screeching sound. Jingyi coughed lightly and left here, hiding his merit and fame. A long time, Jiraiya appeared in front of Jingyi with a grudge. Xiao Jingyi, I hid with my front feet, and someone came on my hind feet. You must have sold me. Lord Jiraiya, I don't have it. Someone happened to pass by. By the way, I heard that you almost died because of it in your early years. Hyunsu laughed. He also gritted his teeth. The two were unaware of each other. However, thinking of the identity of this kid, he shuddered. If Tsunade knew that he almost brought Kyoichi to do that, he would definitely beat himself to death. Hey, it's easy for me to get lost. You see, this misunderstanding will cause trouble. I really can't drink this wine. Cough. I walked away. Jiraiya coughed awkwardly, and then left. Back in the village, he remembered. Why is the name Kanda Kyoichi so familiar? In Minato's letter, he mentioned many times the genius junior he admired, who had all kinds of fantastic ideas, and was particularly good at education. It seemed that the guy was also Jingyi. Watergate is still young. Jiraiya also sighed. This boy looks pure and good, but in fact it is black when cut, and has the same virtue as Orochimaru. Certainly, he didn't think there was anything wrong with Jingyi. Creative, passionate about the village, and willing to share many techniques to help Konoha become stronger. He also knew something about the ninja school. Hyunsu did a great job. Don't say anything else. This year's batch of graduates is definitely the highest quality of the students who have graduated in these years. The foundation of ninjutsu is very solid, and they will soon be able to integrate into the lower ninja group. And training is also a great idea. Many things are not difficult, but no one would have thought that many of Jingyi's ideas are of this type. In Jiraiya's view, Jingyi and Orochimaru were the same kind of people. Jingyi didn't know that Jiraiya rated himself so highly. After he separated from Jiraiya, he came directly to the Hokage building to fulfill his promise and submit the stage results of the activation technique. Result: when I met the third generation, before the surgery was said, the third generation said a tricky thing first. After Asuma came back, he told me that he wanted to take on a B-level mission to train himself. Did you instigate it? Misunderstand. Jingyi coughed repeatedly after hearing this. Asuma, did he really make trouble? He's just kidding. Okay, don't pretend. I know you have the ability. Asuma has made great progress, and has matured a lot in all aspects. You should look at this first. The third generation took out a quest scroll. Jing was stunned for a moment. Really have a mission. He took it over and looked at it for a while, then his face became serious. Mission place, the country of Chuan. This is the information provided by the robbers they caught. Those people were originally the wandering samurai of the river country. Although they are also looting in the country of Chuan, they generally do not dare to come to the country of fire, but recently there are many ninjas in the country of Chuan. The northern part of the river country, ninjas. Dawn, Hyunsu thought of this possibility. He said solemnly, Lord Hokage, isn't this a B-level mission? This kind of task may be upgraded to A level or even S level at any time. They may not be able to cope with the water stop. He is not as chaotic as Kakashi. He knows the state of the country of waves but insists on taking his subordinates to complete it alone. If it weren't for Shirao hands, Naruto and Sasuke would be in danger. Of course not. The third generation nodded, paused and said, the Minato class set off the day before yesterday to perform a C-level mission in the kingdom of Chuan. Although it shouldn't be too dangerous, it's still up to you to take care of it. This is Minato's suffering. This mark is Flying Thunder God. Well, in case of danger, Minato can send everyone to you. Now Anbu's staff are in other countries, and there is no extra manpower at all. We can only let you do it, and the village will come out as a reward. 3 generations sigh. The country of wind, the country of earth, and the country of thunder must all be monitored. Just when Orochimaru came over, when he talked about Jingyi, he said that the country of water in the east would also send people. The war has just ended. How can there be so many people? Understood. I'll go right away. Chapter 47 Thinking. I am very professional. Asuma, are you really going for a B-level mission? When Shisui and Yuhihong arrived at the meeting point, the first sentence was all this. I don't know. I just said it casually, hoping to get advanced tasks. Asuma was also at a loss. He just talked to the old man, and in the afternoon he got the notification of the gathering. Let's go out of the village first, and explain on the way. Jingyi didn't say much. After everyone gathered, he registered at the entrance of the village, and then directly stored it and headed west. Leaving Konoha, he explained the mission. Subsequently, for this mission, I will ask you to be in a wartime state. You don't live and cook on the road. The food is replaced by military ration pills throughout the whole process. You are not allowed to rest until you have reached the specified distance. Yes, set off. In addition to the surprise of the 3, their hearts were a little more nervous. Look at the teacher. In this mission, you may really encounter enemy ninjas. On the way, Jingyi pondered in his mind. This time is the period of dawn and growth. There is no ninja village in the country of Sichuan, and this purge must have something to do with them. Totally right, but if it's dawn now, they shouldn't take action against Konoha ninjas. Besides, their mission is to support Minato instead of fighting, so it's not that dangerous. Including 3 generations, also think that Watergate is not so dangerous. But, what if it's in danger? In troubled times, I can't afford too many losses. Let Jingyi and the others go. Just a little more insurance, by the way. It is naturally the best to be able to collect information. Jing knew that, teacher, so, Kakashi and the others also took on the sea-level mission. After Asuma had run for a long time, a sentence suddenly popped out. Yuhihong was speechless for a while. Did you know? Jingyi was too lazy to answer. Hong Yuhi was helpless, and explained, Kakashi is a chunin, and their team is stronger than a normal Jinin team. It is normal to do sea-level tasks. Senior Kai's team seems to have also taken on a sea-level mission. Oh, I heard the words of Hong Yuhi and Shisui. Asuma scratched her head. She originally thought that the first class was special, but the elite teams have basically started taking sea-level missions. He was a little floating at first, but now he has sunk back. Sea-level missions are more escorts and less battles. We were a special case last time. This time our mission is classified as B-level, just because we may encounter ninjas and increase the level. Kyoichi explained. Generally speaking, the money for sea-level tasks is between 20,000 and 50,000 taels, and the tasks are more protective. Last time, they directly locked the enemy and took the initiative to kill the enemy. Simply put, it's over the top. Certainly, there is also a lot of pay. The final reward was 60,000 taels, which was 20,000 taels more than the established 40,000 taels. It was because they killed the bandits and recovered the stolen property of several villages by the way. They chased all the way. Soon, traces of the 7th class passing by appeared on the road. Until the border of the country of fire, the traces disappeared all at once. Minato and the others began to deliberately eliminate all traces of themselves. Go to the mission location. Jingyi took out the map, looked at the directions, and then went to Minato and their mission location. After getting here, there are no traces to be found. Asuma looked around and seemed very curious, especially when passing through an area where there were people, but there were too few people here, and there were not many people to be seen after a long walk. Teacher, there are very few people in the country of Sichuan. It's too messy. I can't survive. Of course I have to go. Because there is no ninja village. But Daimyo, doesn't he have the money to summon ninjas? Asuma was puzzled. Jingyi was silent for a moment, and then said, because there are too many big countries around it and the area is relatively large, even if there is a ninja village, it is basically impossible to survive. The country of rain. Shisui thought of the country that was located in the middle of the 3 big countries. Isn't the country of rain worse than the country of Sichuan? But, in the Second Ninja World War, the Kingdom of Rain was almost alone against the 3 major powers, and the limelight was nowhere to be seen. Hanzo in the Land of Rain. Kyōichi sighed. In addition, in the early years, Hanzo was extremely powerful and had his own ideals to pursue, but after the Second Ninja World War, Hanzo was beaten by the 3 major powers and lost his temper. Hanzo was out of the limelight and looked like he had won. However, the 3 major countries can recover in a few years, but what about the country of rain? Except for the 3 anomalous numbers of Yahiko, the education and medical systems are not at the same level at all, and the second Hanzo is entirely dependent on mutation. This is the difference between big and small countries. After listening to Jingyi's words, the 3 of them were silent. For many years, they have all stood from Konoha's point of view, thinking that it is very abhorrent for ninja villages such as the Land of Rain to provoke wars, but put themselves in their shoes. If they are small village ninjas, I am afraid that they are more desperate than Hanzo. There was silence. Asuma, Shisui and Yuhika all seemed to be thinking. But, on the side of Jingyi, a voice sounded. Open black lens bracket complete the ideological guidance of Asuma Sarutobi. He regards you as a life mentor. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket evaluation. Excellent close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket reward. Fade in close black lens bracket. Okay. Asuma, you finally paid off. Jing took it as he ran. Fein is not a sword, but Asuma's double-fisted melee martial arts. With the addition of the change in the nature of wind escape, the attack is very terrifying. It can be said, this is the guy who eats Asuma. Certainly, now Asuma, even the fist blade has not been done, Fein naturally has no way to talk about it. Jingyi realized something and was in a very good mood. The art itself is secondary. Since Fein is cooperating with a double fist blade, with some dual-wielding effects, Jingyi can clearly feel that his 2 hands are more flexible than before. Especially left-handed. This is a buff that many ninjutsu cannot provide. For that alone, he made money. Not to mention, Fein is not exactly a boxing and blade technique. It can also be used in conjunction with swordsmanship, but the method is slightly different. It seems that getting a second chakra knife is imminent. In addition to being happy, Jingyi couldn't help sighing in his heart. One is not enough. After sighing for a while, he glanced at Asuma. This kid was thinking, but quickly realized that he was on a mission, shook his head, and drove his thoughts away. Kyōichi smiled. Asuma has definitely grown a lot. The original Asuma, although not comparable to Naruto when he was young, is still a child king and a troublemaker, otherwise he would not be able to leave the village due to a little conflict. Now he is obviously very different. It's all my own credit. Certainly, in addition to sighing, he secretly used chakra perception to constantly check the surrounding situation, looking for the trace of Watergate. Finally, found it. Go this way. Kyōichi pointed to the direction. Asuma and Shisui were stunned for a moment, but Hong Yuhi was not at all surprised. She followed Jingyi's pace and complained as she ran. You don't think that the teacher really doesn't feel anything, so you dare to let us walk around in Baiyun Town. Turn out to be, Shisui instantly understood. The teacher is in Baiyun Town. I am afraid that he has long known the location of the robbers, and he was just testing them at that time. No wonder it came out so timely. I remember, I heard my father say that the second generation has a perception technique, which can sense the position of others from a long distance, and even sense the strength of chakra. Stop talking nonsense, keep up. Kyōichi didn't deny it. Anyway, I didn't plan to hide it, I guessed it, and now that his identity has been recognized by Tsunade, he is not afraid of people in the village finding fault. What a big deal. Chapter 48 This wave has met a master. Teacher, it seems that there are indeed hostile ninjas, but they don't seem to want to fight. Kurenai Yuhi was puzzled. These hostile ninjas didn't seem to plan to fight Konoha. The 7th class took a step forward, and they took a few steps back and kept avoiding them. They didn't want to meet the 7th class at all. You have the kunai and the information scroll. Jingyi handed the Flying Thunder God kunai to Asuma. This is Minato-senpai's Flying Thunder God technique. You all meet Minato, and hand over the information scroll to Minato-senpai. I'll take a look ahead. Teacher, if you don't take it with you, at least you can let Minato-sensei support you. Asuma was a little worried. Jingyi goes up by himself. What if he encounters danger? It doesn't matter. I'm just going to collect information, but I can't beat and run. Jingyi patted him on the shoulder, and then rushed forward. Front, Namikaze Minato naturally also sensed the existence of those ninjas. If it was just him and Kakashi, he would definitely rush to see what happened. But besides them, there were Obito and Lin. Obito and Lin were newcomers and could not deal with the complex battlefield environment. Teacher, why don't I go take a look? Kakashi asked in a low voice. He is Chunin. In terms of strength, apart from Minato Namikaze, he is the most in the team. Our mission is to help the village clear out the bandits. These ninjas have nothing to do with us, so don't make extra troubles. Watergate shook his head. Right now, a look of astonishment appeared on his face. This is his own flying thunder god technique. He landed on the ground and used his perception technique to explore the surrounding situation, and then there was a hint of joy on his face. Teacher, what happened? Lin also found something wrong. From just now, Minato Namikaze and Kakashi seemed to have particularly solemn expressions. It's all right, another class is approaching us. If you guess correctly, it should be the first class. They brought my special kunai, which should support us. Namikaze Minato let out a sigh of relief. Kyōichi was here. And, judging from the positions of Jingyi and the other three, they made a decision to divide their forces. One person would investigate the situation of the ninjas, while the others would ask them to explain the situation. This way he doesn't have to worry about whether or not to investigate. Ah, why did they come to support us? Is our task very difficult? Obito looked bewildered. We'll know when they come. Namikaze Minato didn't explain, because he didn't know the origin of these ninjas, otherwise he wouldn't be too cautious to move forward. Soon, the three of Asuma arrive. Teacher Minato, we came to the rescue on the order of the village to inform you of the situation in the country of Chuan. This is an intelligence scroll. Asuma handed over the scroll with the seal of the sealing technique. Namikaze Minato didn't say much. The potential meaning of this seal is that this information is very important and may affect Konoha's battle situation. He immediately opened the seal with unseal. With just one glance, a dignified expression appeared on Minato's face. Yinyan Village. During the Battle of Kikyoyama, the country of Wind suffered heavy losses, and many contracts were signed with Konoha, so it was impossible to go to the country of Sichuan. There is a high probability that the opponent is from the land of rain. During the Second Ninja World War, Yinyan Village suffered heavy losses, but Hanzo was there. It was the first ninja village outside the 5 major ninja villages. This is the weight of the demigods. Namikaze Minato put away the intelligence scroll. The current state of the war in the ninja world appeared in his mind. He guessed the situation of the village, and after thinking for a while, he said, Kyoichi went to the front. Yes, the teacher is going to investigate the situation and order us to act with you. At your disposal, quote. Kurenai Yuhi said, okay, the situation is special. Let's go to the mission location first and confirm the strength of the bandits before making the next plan. The mission of the Kingdom of Chuan, which was previously controlled by the Kingdom of Wind, was assigned to Konoha after the war, and Minato did not want to give up unless it was a last resort. As for those ninjas ahead, for the time being, he can only choose to believe in Jingyi's ability. ... Without being held back, Jingyi was fast and caught up with the group of ninjas in no time. These ninjas are full of Yinyan village characteristics. Identity is unquestionable. Jingyi chased, they retreated, and both sides were fast. This meant that the other party discovered their whereabouts. This wave has met a master. He became more careful. I don't know who is leading the team. There are 2 people who didn't move. Are you planning to break up? Kyōichi frowned. While chasing from behind, use chakra perception to carefully probe around to avoid trapping yourself. He approached the location and found that the 2 chakra individuals were located in an unremarkable tree, but upon closer inspection, it could be seen that the tree was forged using ninjutsu. Xiaonan. Jing understood in an instant. His eyes narrowed slightly, pretending not to see. Take a few steps forward. Suddenly, countless leaves fluttered in all directions, rolling towards him like a wave. Kyōichi found out, although many of these paper leaves are very sharp, there are no detonating symbols in them. Xiaonan kept his hand. But, even if he keeps his hand, it won't hurt his life at most. Jingyi quickly closed the seal. In the blink of an eye, the surrounding water walls rose. Junin, cover with the detonating talisman, let's go. When Yahiko saw that the situation was wrong, he immediately took Xiaonan away. Konoha ninja, and, looking at the power of this water escape, at least it is an elite Jonin. Although they weren't too afraid, they didn't want to confront Jingyi. This is also the reason why Yahiko didn't let Nagato stay in his place. Nagato couldn't identify the situation, and if he hurt Konoha ninja, he couldn't tell. However, the next moment, a water dragon roared, directly flushing the detonating talismans and rolling them towards Konan and Yahiko. Water dragon bomb, so fast, Yahiko's face changed. He is also a water escape ninja, and he knows how difficult it is to seal the water dragon bullet, but Jingyi made it in the blink of an eye. This is an improved technique. I blocked it. The tree where Xiaonan lived was shattered, turned into countless origami, and finally formed a shield. The power of the water dragon bullet is amazing, but under the layers of paper shields, the impact gradually cancels out. But, a sword light flashed. The paper shield shattered in an instant, and the next moment, they saw a figure fall in front of them, holding a sword with lightning flashes in his hand, and his silver hair was particularly eye-catching. Namikaze Minato. No, Namikaze Minato is blonde. Who are you? So fast. It was the second time that Yahiko was so amazed. The first time I was shocked by Jingyi's speed of printing, but this time, I was surprised by the speed of the instant body technique. In addition to Namikaze Minato, Konoha actually has such a fast joinin. Konoha Junin, Kanda Keiichi. Who are you and why did you enter the country of Sichuan? Kyōichi pretended to be serious. He naturally knows the identity of the other party, but there must be some form. Yahiko's hands were sweating. At the speed of himself and Xiaonan, he couldn't outrun the opponent at all, and the opponent's strength was only emerging at the moment. To be honest, even if he joined forces with Xiaonan, he couldn't fully defeat him. Unless you call Nagato back, it's really a life and death battle, and it's not good for both sides. He thought about it for a long time, and finally said, we are Yinyan village ninjas. We didn't mean to offend Konoha when we came to the country of Sichuan. We just wanted to eliminate the bandits who made trouble in the country of Sichuan. Chapter 49. The idea is beautiful, the practice is stupid. Oh, Kyōichi narrowed his eyes. The tasks of the country of the river have come to Konoha, and Konoha, who has not released the task, can't manage it for the time being. See what Yahiko means. He came to the country of Sichuan to do voluntary labor. We went to the country of Sichuan simply to eliminate the bandits here and make the country of Sichuan peaceful. We have no intention of attacking Konoha or robbing you of tasks. Xiaonan followed and explained. Not to mention that they also have some relationship with Jirai, but the strength of Konoha is not something they can provoke. The current dawn is very weak. Konoha is a towering tree to them. Our wish is peace, and we will never provoke war. Yahiko saw that Jingyi didn't make a move, and knew that there was a possibility of peace talks. After all, Konoha had just experienced the war, and he definitely didn't want to provoke another shinobi village at this moment. Otherwise, it would not be a Kanda Jinjiki, but Konoha's powerful Anbu. Thinking of this, he became more calm. Jingyi was about to speak when 2 chakra breaths approached. One in the north and one in the south. Nagato and Minato. Kyōichi understood. He pondered over and over again. The situation is complicated now. It is not that he can make up his mind. Thinking of this, he gathered chakra to deter the 2, while waiting for the arrival of Watergate. Yahiko. Konan was a little anxious, but Yahiko shook his head gently. Can't do it. Even if he wants to do it, it is not now. He has to wait for Nagato to arrive. He senses that Nagato is approaching. There was a brief stalemate on both sides. Soon. The shadow clone of Minato came, and seeing the situation in front of him, he was sluggish for a moment, then he turned to Jingyi and asked in a low voice, what's going on? The ninjas of Union Village enter the country to clear the bandits, free of charge. What? Free gangsters? These rainy ninjas? Minato was stunned for a moment, a little confused. No wonder Jingyi didn't move. I don't know what to do if it's him. At present, the village definitely doesn't want to cause more troubles, but if these people don't deal with it, let them clean up the bandits in the country of Sichuan, and these bandits will flee to the country of fire. Difficulty at both ends. He twitched the corners of his mouth, looked at the two of them, thought for a moment, and said, what's your name? Yahiko, Xiao Nan, quote. The name is very familiar, and I vaguely feel that I have heard it somewhere. Minato frowned slightly. Xiao Nan wanted to speak, but was stopped by Yahiko. Yahiko knew that Xiao Nan wanted to use Jiraiya's relationship to let Minato release him, but he knew better that Minato and Jiraiya were both Konoha ninjas. Opening your mouth will only make it difficult for the other party to do it. Jing was facing north, looking at the woods, the blade turned. Nagato is here, in the woods, his red hair stood out. And, he didn't know what happened, only that Yahiko and Konan seemed to be at a disadvantage. As soon as he arrived at the scene, Nagato raised his hand and threw a few shuriken directly, followed by the ninjutsu about to shoot. When he saw the sword light flickering, his eyes were instantly white. So dazzling, he involuntarily turned his head to avoid, but in an instant, Nagato heard the wind whistling. Not good, he forced his perception, but Jingyi was too fast. Nagato had no choice but to predict the use of Shenluo Tianzhong. At this time, his vision recovered and he saw a figure entering his body, but under the Shenluo Tianzhong, this figure was not affected, and gradually turned into an afterimage. Separation, wrong, he jumped up the tree, and the underground sword light burst out. Hard beheading technique, cold sweat oozes from Nagato's forehead. Such a fast and difficult opponent, no wonder Yahiko and Xiaonan couldn't solve it. However, while he was amazed, he saw Jingyi's speed doubled through his samsara eyes. Although his eyes could see clearly, his body couldn't keep up. Boom, with one kick, he was kicked from the tree to the front of the water gate. Be merciful, do not, Yahiko and Konan were anxious. Nagato's ability to reincarnate has always been unfavorable, but at this moment, they realized that Nagato also has opponents. Speed, it's so fast that people can't react. This foot is powerful, but Nagato still managed to stand up and be careful to deal with the next attack. Watergate was a little helpless. He is a shadow clone, and the help he can give is limited. But, in the face of such a powerful enemy, if the opponent is not subdued, the follow-up will be difficult. Nagato waited in full force and stepped back. Swoosh. Jingyi reappeared, and was already a dozen steps away from Nagato. Nagato was shocked. This speed, too fast. He threw a shuriken, and Jingyi quickly swept through the gap, but the next moment, he raised his hand. Wind escaped gale palm. The whirlwind whistled and rolled the shuriken around, instantly disrupting the trajectory, and many directly attacked Jingyi. Jingyi ignored it and drew the knife directly. This time I was in a hurry to change the water gate. He was about to shoot, but saw an abnormal black appearance on Jingyi's body. He was stunned for a moment, and those shuriken had already attacked Jingyi. Ding. After the sound was crisp, the shuriken fell to the ground. No damage at all. Looking at Nagato, he saw the Thunder God sword slashing towards him, and he was in a hurry for a while, so he had to use Shenluo Tianzhong again. However, opening the door and the breathing activation technique are superimposed, and Jing has the ultimate control over his body, and he can advance and retreat freely without any blockage. After the repulsion passed, he fell to the edge of Nagato. The chakra in his hand condensed and turned into a green light. Nagato struggled to get away, but after a while, his eyes gradually became dull, and finally his hands became weak, and the whole person passed out. Uniformed. Watergate looked odd. It was a palm immortality just now, right? This thing can make people coma. Increased knowledge. What did you do to Nagato? Xiaonan roared sharply. It's palm immortal. Yahiko breathed a sigh of relief. If Jingyi wanted to kill someone, he could just slash with a knife after avoiding Shinra Tianzhong, and there was no need for such trouble. It's nothing. He's too troublesome, and everyone has room to talk about it first. Kyoichi pulled Nagato to Minato. Minato turned his head and saw Nagato's red hair. He couldn't help but froze for a moment, and then a flash of light flashed in his mind. The teacher seems to have mentioned a boy with red hair. He took a deep breath, looked at Yahiko and Xiaonan, and said, I remember, you are the 3 children that the teacher met in Union Village. The teacher mentioned it to me. Quote. Xiao Nan was speechless. Been recognized. But, while flustered, she was a little moved. Teachers remember them. At this time, Yahiko said, Senior Minato, we have no ill will towards Konoha, we just want to try to realize the vision of the teacher and hope that there will be peace around. But, Minato was hesitant to say anything, but the teacher mentioned 3 children to him, and in Jiraiya's mouth, these 3 people pinned some of his hopes on him. Although it is not clear about the specific situation, but from a personal standpoint, he is willing to believe the words of the 3. However, their behavior and scale make Konoha not underestimate. Jing glanced at him, then put the sword back into its sheath, smiled and said, Do you want me to say a word? The 3 looked over. If you want me to say, your idea is very good, but your approach is stupid. Help the country of Sichuan to eliminate bandits, but there are so many bandits that you can't kill them all, and the rest fled to the surrounding countries, and then what? Chapter 50. Who is the partner and who is the enemy? Do you just sit back and watch? Yahiko's fist hardened. In his opinion, Jingyi didn't understand the pain of a small country at all, and he was disgusted by standing in the position of a big country. Jingyi shook his head, not entangled in the topic. You said you were trying to make peace. What's your solution? The battle between the big countries has left our small country with nowhere to live. With the strength of Union Village, if we gather the strength of the small village, we can form a force to dissuade the big country from truce. Yahiko said, Why? What? Why should a small country listen to you? Why should Hanzo listen to you? And why should a big country listen to you? Jing spreads his hands. Innocent. Dawn is a revolution, but with this little gun, I want to unite vertically and horizontally to deter great powers. The idea is good. Pity. Probably only dreams can come true. Are Yahiko, Nagato, and Konan are as strong as Hashima and Madara. But then again, with that strength, it still needs the support of a small country and Hanzo. A goes up a wave. It's good for small countries. Why? Yahiko was stunned for a while, but did not continue to speak for a while. Halfway through the answer, he realized that something was wrong. You think it's beneficial, but does everyone think so? For example, Taki Ninja Village. This, Yahiko was stunned. Taki Ninja Village got a tailed beast back then. If it is said that in a small country, Chuyin Village is the strongest, it must be Taki Ninja Village. But, will Taki Shinobi listen to me? Those small countries are vassals of big countries, they can get a lot of support every year, and there is a village of ninja in the country to maintain a certain peace. Even, each small village may still have the idea of accumulating strength to develop, and one day it will be able to leap above the big country, such as Taki Ninja Village. Everyone's mind is complicated. How to unite? He was speechless. Let me ask another question. After the formation of the Alliance of Small Nations, who has the final say, Hanzo or you? It seems that you and that demigod are not the same. Quote. Yahiko was asked again, who was headed? According to Jingyi's thinking, it is obviously impossible, because the small countries will not agree. But, if we do not unite, how can we fight against major powers? Do you know what other small countries want? Look, you don't even know who is your partner and who is your enemy. You still think you can achieve peace. Take a break. This will only harm others and yourself. After Jingyi finished speaking, the Thunder God sword was put away. Watergate was speechless for a moment. Kyungsu's words. Very shocking. Even he was asked, let alone the three of Yahiko. All that said, as for this kid, Minato-senpai, you can do it. I'm just a newly promoted Jonin, and I don't know how to deal with this kind of thing. After Jingyi finished speaking, the figure directly turned into foam. Familiar telekinesis. Watergate was silent for a moment. You let out a mouthful of guns, and then just walked away. And me, I'm just a shadow clone. He looked at Yahiko and Xiaonan, but fortunately there was no sign of them doing anything. And many more. Yahiko woke up. Jingyi slipped too fast. He reacted, and the person in front of him was gone. He looked at Minato, then at Xiaonan and Nagato, who was unconscious in the distance. After thinking again and again, he gritted his teeth and said, Senior Minato, can Xiaonan lead Nagato to leave? I'll go with you. I want to talk to this Shangin again. Consult. This, Watergate is a bit difficult. Jingyi's problem is too deep and raises a lot of contradictions, and these contradictions can't be solved in a few words. Otherwise, the ninja world will not be in chaos until now. Again, he didn't know what to do with Yahiko for a while. But after thinking about it, Nagato seems to have a special ability, and Konin's origami combined with the detonating charm is a greater threat to the children, but Yahiko brings it back to solve it. Because he is sensible enough, Yahiko knows very well what can be done and what cannot be done, except that he wants to use the power of a small country to fight against a big country. Although naive, Minato is very clear that peace is Jiraiya and they even include his own dreams, and he has no clue right now, and Yahiko and the others have at least begun to act. It's nothing to laugh at. He believed that Jingyi's original intention was not to ridicule. I know, I was very excited before, thinking that my efforts can bring peace to the ninja world, but now I am very confused. Yahiko sighed. Peace. Not to mention the ninja world. According to Jingyi, he may not even be able to handle Hanzo. Although Nagato and his subordinates trusted him, it was because of this trust that he couldn't make such a hasty decision, especially after someone pointed out the problem with the plan. Minato was thinking, if it wasn't for the arrival of Jingyi's group, he would not be able to pursue him at all, and Yahiko and the others would naturally miss out and not meet. So, the current situation is really a chain reaction. The first group performed the task, found the bandits on the run, and interrogated the ninja troops in the country of the river. Come to support and discover Yahiko. Minato cleared his mind, scratched his head, and frowned for a while. Jingyi brought him a problem, but he ran fast. Okay, come with me, Xiaonan will take him back, so your people don't worry. Watergate thought about it. One more thing is worse than one less thing. At present, Konoha has no ability to provoke Yuyan village, and does not have enough strength to destroy these ninjas. Again, Yahiko and the others didn't do anything, and there was no need to destroy them at all. Thank you. Yahiko bowed deeply. He knows. This matter makes it very difficult for Minato, especially now that Minato takes him back. But, Watergate agreed anyway, much to his delight. Yahiko, this, Xiaonan, take Nagato back, don't worry about me, I'll be back soon. Yahiko comforted Konan, you be careful, Xiaonan was in a complicated mood. She is not like Yahiko, she thinks so much, she just wants to live a good life with Yahiko and Nagato, but Yahiko has her own pursuit, peace. Born out of childhood experiences, born out of a desire to teach Jiraiya. Dawn itself was thus created, but, Kyoichi's few words almost overturned Yahiko's thoughts. Xiaonan couldn't give an answer, so she could only let Yahiko go to find it herself. In addition, she knew that Dawn had to explain this action to Konoha Fang. Otherwise, perhaps as Jinchiki said, Hanzo will take action to annihilate Dawn. She wrapped Nagato in origami and watched Yahiko and Minato leave. As soon as Jing left there, he quickly went to where Asuma and the others were. In the distance, he heard noises. But, the slaughter should be over, more of a begging for mercy. Minato was just a clone, and he wasn't worried about it. After all, Minato is the yellow flash that will be famous in the ninja world in the future. If even these bandits can't handle it, it would be a shame. The teacher is back. Hong Yuhi felt that Jingyi was approaching, and she was instantly happy. Although Namikaze Minato took good care of them, without the presence of the teacher, he always felt that something was wrong.